welcome to the Tea and a Butty podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Mexican culture's influence on the US.
Yeah.
And, well, the UK too, I suppose, you know.
How it differs.
Yeah,
anyway.
we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, since you have Mexican blood, well, it's Spanish, Hispanic blood.
Yeah.
Since it's might not totally be Mexican, we don't know.
Yeah,
We do know. Yes, another tie into ancestry.
I do know, yeah. And it's both, actually. So, yeah, Spanish and Mexican.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's true with probably a majority of people because, Spain did come over here and
Spain came over here.
Spaniards came over here.
The Spanish came over here and
they
colonized.
Mm-hmm.
See, it wasn't just the British doing it, know.
And that's just what happens, over so many years of living here, they're bound to mix with the native population
obviously.
So
with a whole new culture, which has impacted the US on, a national scale, but mainly with the border states, I'd say. I mean, because I happen to live in one, so, I notice it more here than I probably would in, say, Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, I say I really have no idea, I mean, if we have anybody listening in the Midwest or, even on the East Coast or
up in the West Coast, like Washington State or Oregon, I mean, obviously all over the U.S. there's going to be...
Let us know how prevalent
Taco Bells
Mexican
and all that kind of
influence
stuff,
is on where you live in the United States, or actually where you live around the world, unless you live in Mexico, in which case we assume that, there's a lot of Mexican influence in Mexico.
And yeah, I did just say Taco Bell, and I realized that's not.
Oh my God!
A Mexican thing, but it's like Tex-Mex cuisine.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, I personally prefer Taco Cabana if we're talking about it, but yeah.
Yeah, we say Taco Cabana like people know what that is. I don't think that they're actually nationwide.
They're not nationwide. Well, they should be.
They should be. Yeah, they're much better than Taco Bell.
They're much better than Taco Bell. I mean,
as far as Mexican fast food goes, or Tex-Mex fast food,
Tex-Mex fast food, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how you want to break this down because obviously it's quite a big topic.
It's quite a big topic, and we're gonna have to condense it into 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, 36,986,661 Mexican Americans in the U.S.
36 million.
36 million.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't actually look up relative to the population because I think there's like...
I mean, you have all this disgusting, like, people who want to build the wall and all of this kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's just stupid.
We won't get...
Stupid.
We won't get so into that, but...
I have to take that down now that Biden's president.
I just think that there's a certain population of this country that seems to forget that a good majority of the bottom, central and...
The southwestern
west,
states.
Yeah.
That's what they call them, the southwestern states.
Used to be Mexico.
Well, yeah, I mean, a good majority of the western U.S. would was pretty much Mexico.
I mean, I don't know how I don't know how far
Hispaniola,
north...
whatever they want to call it. Because I mean, I don't know if they call it Mexico.
It was like Nueva España. It was like New Spain.
New Spain, yeah.
But then it was Mexico. Then when Mexico had a revolution. Yeah. They took their country back.
Which, I mean, that's one of the things, it has an influence. Cinco de Mayo, that does not celebrate Mexican independence from Spain.
No. That's 16 de septiembre.
Yeah. The Cinco de Mayo is the Battle of Puebla, which was like a key battle.
It was just a battle,
It was just a battle. And so people are like, Cinco de Mayo. And of course, because of the internet now... People, in like Britain and, other English-speaking countries have no idea what Cinco de Mayo. I mean, unless they speak Spanish, they know it means 5th of May.
Yeah.
But it's like, Cinco de Mayo, you know, they see it written, and they think, what, is it about putting your mayonnaise in the sink? What are you talking about here?
Oh, God.
So, well, am I doing Cinco de Mayo right? And they posted, like, a picture of their mayonnaise in the sink, you know? Bloody heathens, I tell you. Bloody heathens.
Heathens, indeed. Yes.
And it's English people.
But yeah, you know, a good part of the United States was Mexico at one point.
Yes, it was.
And
I think maybe, I mean, I haven't done the research on this, but more land mass belonged to Mexico than it did to, like, the UK or, you know, well, the UK with Britain, England, you know.
Oh, yes,
I mean,
easily.
the 13 colonies, you know.
Oh, easily. Because the entire state of Texas was Mexico.
Yeah, and that's a lot.
Yeah, and then it went up into, you know, Colorado.
Well,
and...
when I think most of California was
I mean,
Mexico.
we'd have to bust out an old map, you know.
Bust out the old maps.
I mean, it did not go all the way north. It didn't go so far north as Canada, I don't think, but yeah, it was
Well, no, Canada was pretty much...
It was a large portion, and you know, you have during all of the wall business, you know, you had all of these people saying, I didn't cross the border crossed me, you know.
Yeah.
And these are people who obviously were probably born in America, you know, they're Mexican Americans, Mexican by heritage only,
Mexican
you know.
Americans, yeah.
And so, you know, the border did not actually literally cross them.
They didn't just go, phew,
you know,
one
because
night,
it was not that recent.
It was not that recent, no.
But it's true. Heritage wise, ethnic wise, you know, if people know if people in this country with Mexican or Spanish even roots who know their family history, they are probably able to see the point in history where the borders change, especially if they live in this state.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very true. And, you know, people who go back where you came from or whatever, it's just like, well, no, you go back where you
go back where you know, it's like when the people go like, oh, this is America, we speak English here. If you want to speak Spanish, go back to Spain, or, you know, go back to Mexico, usually they say, because they don't know where Spain is, these people.
Yeah. Funnily enough, sorry to interrupt you. Funnily enough, though, when I lived in the Texas Panhandle, the white, and I'm saying white in quotation marks, you guys can't see me, but
the people who were
that lived up there, used to refer to Mexican Americans as Spanish people. The Spanish people, because I think that they thought that was being more
politically correct.
Yeah. I always thought that was so weird. I'm like, why are you calling them the Spanish people? Oh, the Spanish people who live down at the end of the street.
The Spanish people. It's like, what, they moved here from Spain,
yeah,
did they?
Like, what? Why are you calling them Spanish? It's so weird. But anyway, go back to what you were saying.
I mean, that's just it. You know, it's just kind of like, you know, those people who say, oh, if you don't speak English, go back to Mexico or whatever. Right. You know, it's like they've got, oh, well, you know, that's not the official language of the USA.
Right.
It's like, if you want to speak English, go back to England. Like, unfortunately, they don't know where England is. These people who are telling people to go back to their own country, they don't know where their own country is, you know.
Oh, gosh. But I want to ask you whether you were surprised when you came here for the first time at how much, because you guys, when you go to the grocery store here in Austin anyway, it's not, I'm trying to remember, is it so true for like as far north as the Texas Panhandle? I can't really remember, but in Central Texas for sure, and I think up in like the Dallas area and stuff as well. When you go into the grocery store, on pretty much everything, it says what it is, what the product is in English, and it also says it in Spanish.
Yeah, like orange juice, jugo de naranja, and well, you know.
Yeah, And so it's just like, it's got the English, it's got the Spanish, you know, it's
milk,
fine.
leche,
Nobody says anything about it. It's just like, that's just normal.
Well, no,
you know? Were you surprised by that though when you came here?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was, because I expected America to be more, the way it's portrayed, to be more like, oh no, we don't do that, you know, that kind of thing, you know. But, you know, I wasn't surprised because of the proximity to Mexico, you know. It's like there's going to be Mexicans living here who speak Spanish, you know, and
because I'll say, you know,
and it's like, you know, why shouldn't there be like Hugo de Naranja on the thing, you know, and stuff like that, you know, because I mean, you said it when you went to Wales, but that was actually Wales.
That's what I was. That's yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's, you know, that.
But So I was surprised.
I mean, HEB wasn't around during the when Texas was part of Mexico, you know.
Right. No, that's what I was gonna say is, you know, I've said before many times, I embarrassingly didn't know anything about Wales before I went there the first time, so it was surprising to me to see everything in English and Welsh, because I guess I
had no idea they spoke English over here.
Well, I probably didn't know that
I moved here.
I didn't know that Welsh was still a language. If I was aware of Welsh as a language, which I can't remember at this point whether I was or not, I didn't realize that it was
spoken,
that it was still a spoken
language. You thought it was
language.
Like a dead language or something. Yeah, I mean, you'd assume that, because when you go to South Wales, I mean, you're going to meet the majority of English speakers. I mean, I don't think I ever ran into someone who spoke Welsh and was like, "What you saying to me?" You know,
right?
What you saying? You know, and it's, you know, I spoke to people who were like, "Oh, I speak Welsh too," you know. Like, if you get a job in the government, I think it's a good requirement to, like, oh yeah, because we've got Welsh speakers. And I have a friend who works in local government, and he says, I had to take, you know, I mean, we took Welsh in school, but I had to take Welsh more intensively because you know, you pick up the phone to talk to them, that's all they want to speak.
Right.
And
he had to learn it well enough to learn it well fluent.
To become fluent, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, you know, he'd pick up and go, "Butty da," you know, and look at and be like, "Good morning," and he's like, you know, talking Welsh to him, and it's just like, I'm not speaking English, so good luck with this, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's like, "Oh, I have to transfer to you," you know, like, you know, whatever, you know. But it's like that's fine, you know.
But you know, the thing is, and I think you and I have talked about this before, that Wales is to the UK or Great Britain as Texas is to the United States. Do you know what I mean? Like, we spoke Spanish in this area before we spoke English.
Yeah.
You know, this was a Spanish-speaking place. So, like in Wales, it was a Welsh-speaking place before English came in.
Yeah. It was it's Celtic.
So it makes sense
Same with Scotland
for there to be
Ireland, you know?
both languages on the packaging, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing over here, really.
And the signs as well. I don't know if they do the signs. They do the signs bilingually?
Here? No.
They don't?
Mm-mm.
That's weird.
No, yeah. Yeah, no, they don't.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think now. The signs that hang over the aisles and stuff is just in English over here. But in Wales, you have, like, biscuit, and it will be bisgetti, you know? Like, you're always making fun of that. Bisgetti, like spaghetti.
Yes.
And, you know, like, yeah, I mean, I can't think of any, like...
Well, just signs, signs around town, too, are in Welsh and English.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, they're not in Spanish. No, that's true. I never ever...
Yeah, you're taking photos of the signs going, what are they saying? What's all that? You know?
I guess, I don't know what the reason for that is. I don't know. Why it would be in two languages in this store and not... I mean, I guess because...
the packages.
I guess because the signs and things are controlled by the government and the stores are, like, privately owned, so it's their decision or not, you know, whether to put...
But still, know. Like, HEB is on the packaging, it'll have Spanish and English.
Mm-hmm.
But it won't have, like, you know, in the store. I guess... I don't know why that would... Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
Because I mean, they would have kicked up a fuss in Wales, because I think in Wales years ago, they tried to just make it all English, just like, oh yeah, everyone speaks English, forget, you can go speak Welsh in your house, but, we're not doing it in the stores and whatever,
Yeah.
But then it was kind of like, with the devolution, I think it became more prevalent that, like Wales has its own identity, so there's like the Welsh Senedd, which is like the Senate of Wales.
Yeah.
And they have like, the First Minister, and it was like, okay, every store that comes into Wales, Asda, Tesco, whatever, you're going to be putting bilingual signs up.
Yeah.
And of course they don't do it in England. And I think they do it in Scotland too now, because Scotland's devolution, they've got their own kind of like government as well now,
Yeah.
I mean, Westminster still controls everything in the UK, but there's more power given to each of the countries, which happened in like 1999 or something. But before that, it was probably just all English.
Yeah.
But now, since in the 25 years since devolution,
yeah,
they've made, signs bilingual.
I wonder.
And it's funny, I mean, over here, like there's no official language, so it's like, why wouldn't, like, I think when we went down to Laredo,
I think a lot of stuff was in Spanish in Laredo.
Yeah, it was.
I think so.
Because, I mean, it's basically the same town, just separated by a border.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
There's
Laredo,
Nuevo Laredo, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. I don't know if we have any listeners in Louisiana, but now I'm wondering if things are in French and English in Louisiana.
Well, I imagine certain places in Canada would have.
Definitely. Yeah,
actually, there's probably provinces that speak entirely French, and that's the end.
That's no question. I know for a fact that they have French and English because I've seen it on YouTube.
Seen it on YouTube. The great educator, everybody.
But in Louisiana, I am curious as to whether there's French on packaging and stuff. Anyway, getting back on topic.
Yeah. Mexican culture in the USA.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about all the other places in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's home to the second largest Mexican community in the world. And the first one being Mexico itself.
Oh, right.
So there you go,
Do you, so there's 36 million Mexican Americans. Do you by any chance have in your notes, just out of curiosity, because I know we've looked it up before, how many Mexicans there are living in the UK?
According to the 2011 census, a whopping 9,771.
That's
Mexican born.
Yeah. So I mean that makes sense.
And they're mainly in London and the southeast of England, apparently.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
that's interesting.
I mean, because I mean,
they're going there for work, probably.
Yeah.
So London's, the biggest city, and
I mean, it's like, oh yeah, people think like, oh yeah, Spain and all that, Spain and Mexico, very similar. It's not.
Yeah.
Just the Spanish aspect of it is similar. It's kind of like a similar. I'd say it's about as similar as the UK and the US.
The language is
culture-wise,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because the language is not even always the same.
No, it's not. Like over here, the language is not always the same.
Yeah. In Mexican Spanish, they incorporate native terms.
Oh yeah.
That the natives used to use that were around long before the Spanish.
Yeah.
Conquest, I guess you call it. And then they've got their own like slang words and stuff. Actually, Tex-Mex or Spanglish, if you want to call it, the Spanish that is spoken in the United States is not the same as in Mexico or in Spain either. No. The people who my grandmother grew up here. She was, many generation Texan on her mother's side, and then second generation Texan on her father's side, because I think his parents were from Mexico. Yeah. And so they grew up speaking Spanish in the house, but she always
spoke English.
Spoke English too, yeah. If the word was not coming to her, it was the word in English.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. Because some things just don't translate anyway.
Some things don't translate, yeah, period. So you have to say the English word. But then other things, it's just like, yeah, you know, I never went to school to learn Spanish, so I don't know that word, you know, so I'll just say it in English. You know, yeah. So it's funny, the differences in each place.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
It's, you know, I was looking into the stuff, you know, like music down here, you know. I mean, it was kind of like when I first moved here, it was kind of a little bit like, oh, wow, yeah, there's a lot, considering, you know, it's part of the USA. I thought it would be more like they would have tried to stamp that out.
Yeah.
Because of how they...
Well, you can't when there's 30-something million.
But it's not for lack of trying. I mean, when you gotta say, it's like, you know, you've got Chicano, rap and rock and Tejano music and mariachi. Mm-hmm. And of course that's kind of like, you know, that's known in the UK too, mariachi bands and stuff, you know. But really, I think the stereotypical Mexican image in the UK comes from Speedy Gonzales. Oh, jeez. Yes. Yeah. Which, you know, like, you know, the sombrero. Yeah. And, you know, arriba, ondale, you know. Jeez. But when I was doing my research, you know, like... Ay. Ay, Chihuahua. Yes. Lowrider cars were actually kind of invented by Mexican immigrants in LA. Yeah. That was like a thing, because now you associate that with like gangsters and rap. And
oh, what? You just...
And it's like in LA in the mid to late 40s, they would like, you know, they invented it, you know, like low and slow, you know. They
also invented the really wide-legged pants.
Zoot suits?
Yeah, do you have that?
I didn't put it down here, but I saw it.
What is the word my grandma used to call them? Pachucos? Patrucos? Something like that. Yeah, pachucos. No, the guys that would wear the suits like that with the really wide-legged pants, you know.
Like a zoot suit, yeah. It was like, you know, like that's something that came out like during the 30s and stuff, you know, like gangsters wore them, you know. Nightclub Cab Calloway was like famous for wearing them too. Oh yeah. I mean, he wasn't Mexican, but you know, it's just like it was like something that was quickly adopted by the American gangster 1930s, you know, like keep the change, you filthy animal, all that kind of stuff. Yes. Like, because they wore the wide-legged pants, wise guys, you know. Yeah. Because it's like, you know, getting back
to the whole suit was like oversized.
It was basically oversized, wide baggy pants,
the jackets were quite longer and loose, and the hats. Pachucos, yeah. If anyone knows how to pronounce the word, I'll have to look it up after this. But
36 million of you out there, so you should be able to tell us something. Yeah, I mean, you know, that the food is like the big thing. Yeah. You know, like the tacos. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the big thing. Yeah. That's the one...
That's like, probably the number one thing.
The number one thing. Yeah. Breakfast tacos, just tacos, the crunchy shell. Yeah. That's the thing, you know, tamales, fajitas, enchiladas, you know. But really fried beans, you know.
But really what you get when you go to Mexico are not so much the crunchy Taco Bell style taco that we know and love in America.
I don't know why you know and love them, because they're the messiest thing.
You get the street tacos.
The street tacos, you know, with the flour or the corn tortilla, which is much easier to manage and much easier to eat.
Those have become a lot more popular in recent years. I think thanks to
tacos al pastor
and travel.
Yeah, like, people going, this is actual Mexican food.
Right, yeah. You know, like, this is a taco, you know.
Because street tacos al pastor, they're kind of like a kebab, what we know as a kebab in because it's like on a spinning, it's on a grill, you spinning grill
off like that.
You shave it off, you put it on the thing, and you eat it like that. That's basically a kebab right there. You know, what we know as a kebab or whatever. You know,
just squeeze some lime juice on it. And...
I mean, tzatziki sauce, bit of salad, you know, bit of hot chili sauce. Yeah. Whiten this up a bit, you know.
Oh, yeah. But there you go. Whiten it up is right. That's what
Tex-Mex is, yeah, because
done,
it's like, they're not going to eat mole, they're not going to eat menudo,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like menudo is kind of a little bit like gazpacho, isn't it? It's cold soup.
No. Menudo is a soup made in the lining of a sheep's
So it's like
belly,
Mexican haggis,
something like that. Yeah, but
it's a soup.
But a soup, yeah, but a stew. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've had it once, but I was a kid and I was not a fan, and I haven't had it again since then. I definitely need to try it again because but I think that's how it's made. Yeah, and then mole, of course, is like chicken in a
chocolatey sauce
in a cocoa kind of sauce. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't tried mole. I think maybe I haven't tried menudo either.
Yeah, maybe not, because I'm not really a fan of either one of them. You have on your list, though, tamales. I would not consider tamales to be Tex-Mex. I think that's more a genuine Mexican food. I don't think that's that they are something.
I think that's something that down here, but I mean, like Mexican communities across the U.S. are like, tamales.
Oh, yeah.
But, like general, like...
You're not going to find them in a restaurant too often, I don't think, except for maybe down here closer to the border.
Close to the border.
Or in, like, grocery stores. You might know a lady who makes them and sells them at Christmas time or something like that, but I don't know. You guys let us know whether you know what a tamale is, whether you see them in the grocery stores or in Mexican restaurants that you go to.
In the UK, we don't have that much of a Mexican culture.
Yeah, no.
So like tacos aren't a big thing, like the biggest name brand of Mexican food there is Old El Paso.
Yeah, right.
And that's what you like, oh no, that's all you got over here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fajitas are the big, like maybe the biggest, like, food that you'd know about.
I remember, I think it was the last time we went to Britain when your dad was still living there. And he had bought some chips and salsa, like, just to have, so that I guess we would feel like we were at home
chips
or whatever.
And, like, like,
but it was Doritos salsa, and it was basically just, like, ketchup with bits of
stuff in it.
And stuff. Yeah, it was like, I was like,
yeah.
But I think that's about the only kind of salsa you can find in the stores over there.
Well, no, I mean, you're not gonna really find sour cream. Maybe you will at some specialty stores.
Well, sour cream is not really Mexican, though.
Well,
I think it's Russian.
And like tortillas, right?
Yeah.
You go into a store over here and you see like they've got like an aisle full.
A whole section.
A whole section.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good luck with finding that in the UK.
Well, they call them wraps in the UK, don't
wraps,
they?
yeah, and that they've whitened it up even further.
And they're usually wheat.
They're usually like a flour.
Flour.
We're gonna have a chicken wrap.
Yeah.
A spicy chicken wrap, or it'll be a Mexican chicken wrap.
Yeah.
You can get that from Taco Bell in the UK.
Funnily, though, I think over the last couple of years, it seems like it's becoming a Mexican. I say Mexican. When I say Mexican, you guys, I mean Tex-Mex. As far when I'm in regards to food. Yeah, in regards to food, because in America it's Tex-Mex that's popular. I think that Tex-Mex has become more trendy in the last few years, though, in the UK. It seems like I've seen more people talk about, let's go get a Mexican, in the UK.
Everything's
yeah. Let's go get an Indian. Let's go get a Chinese.
Yeah, whereas over here they just eliminate that. So let's get Chinese. Let's get Mexican, But it's like, let's get a Mexican. Let's get a Chinese.
Because when we say Chinese, we mean Chinese
Let's get an Indian,
We've just dropped off the word food.
We're going for a Chinese, okay? What do you want?
Yes.
We're going for a Mexican. What do you want? That's what it'll be. And, you think, Mexican who?
Yes. What do you mean, what do I want?
A Chinese who? An Indian who? What, you're going to actually eat them?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
But anyway, 9,000 Mexicans in the UK.
Yeah, 9,000, that's what, and I mean, the stereotypes as I remember were, the sombrero and the drooping moustache. They used to call it a Mexican moustache in the UK.
What about the Mexican wave?
What is
that all about?
That's how it's known across the world now. I mean, in North America, it was just known as the wave, but after the 1986 FIFA World Cup, which was held in Mexico, that was like the first time Britain or Australia or anyone, any soccer-loving English-speaking country had seen it. So it was like, oh, the Mexico World Cup, it's the Mexican wave,
Oh, okay.
So
that makes a little bit more sense, I guess.
So, it's like the Mexican wave. It's like, that's what the historians have said. Yeah, that's where it was first, like, picked up internationally by English speakers.
Because when you said the Mexican wave to me the first time, I was like,
no idea they're doing the Mexican wave. And you were like, what the hell is the Mexican wave? You big racist.
Yes.
And I was like, it's the Mexican wave.
Oh my God, you British people. Like, why is it Mexican? What are you talking about?
Because it was in Mexico. It was invented in Mexico.
And you're like, what do you call it? I'm like, just the wave. It's just the wave. Let's do the wave.
Oh, you just culturally appropriated that from Mexico right there.
Oh my God. But anyway.
Yeah, it's like, that's the first time that most people outside of North America had seen that. Mm-hmm. People doing that. And so it was like instantly associated and probably forever associated with Mexico. So it's the Mexican wave from then on,
You guys didn't know about the wave until 1986?
I guess not. No, I mean, in football matches and stuff, it was just more like, just singing songs, like, Oggy, 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 oi, oi, oi.
It's a great song. The whole audience just going,
It was, isn't it? British people will back me up on that. When you're at a football match, that's all you hear is,
really,
and then you do the Mexican
wave.
Really
quickly, before we wrap this up, I just want to ask, this has to do.
What are you asking now?
This has to do with the theme of the podcast, but it's like just kind of random. Do any of you guys who are Hispanic or who have, Hispanic heritage, Hispanic grandmothers, particularly Mexican American grandmothers, know what I mean? And I don't know what the actual word is called, because when someone, since I was little, if I had a fever, my grandmother would get an egg, do the sign of the cross, say the, do the rosary, basically, do the sign of the cross with the egg all over me while she's saying, like, the Lord's Prayer, and I don't know what else. All the way down. You do it all the way down the arms. I'm sounding like a complete nutcase to anybody who has no idea what I'm talking about, but you do it all the way down the arms, all the way out the extremities. So out the tips of the fingers, out the tips of the toes. You do it down across the whole body, especially the forehead where the fever is. But then you do it like you're taking the fever out of the body. Then you crack the egg. Once you're finished, you've done this several times over the entire body. And you crack the egg into a bowl. You put the bowl underneath the bed where the sick person is sleeping, and over in a bowl of water. You stick it under the bed where the person's sleeping, and in the morning the egg is cooked and the fever is gone.
The fever cooked the egg.
Yes, the fever's like sucked down through the body into the egg.
Through the bed.
And the fever is gone. I know it sounds completely bonkers, but I promise you, I had COVID. Dominic got an egg and did it to me, and it worked, and I did not have a fever again after that.
Did it with an egg, yeah.
Yeah, we call it doing you with an egg. It's just like
when you first told me that, I was like, oh my God. What kind of crazy crap are you thinking about?
I need to do you with an egg. Dominic has been, since I told him of this phenomenon that my grandmother used to do when I was a kid.
Well, of course it's going to feel nice. You keep your eggs in the fridge over here for a start. So it's like, oh, that's
Dominic
nice.
Dominic was so fascinated. He's like, okay, next time you get a fever, I'm going to try this and do it on you because I don't believe it.
Well, it worked, people.
I never get a fever because I don't ever get sick. But this time, COVID, it's like, all right, we're gonna have a fever.
Yeah, get the COVID out. Yeah,
and it worked. Didn't it
bloody did work. She didn't have a fever the next day, mate.
It doesn't look like a fried egg. It looks like a poached egg, though.
Yeah, we didn't eat it, by the way. We threw it away
you have to flush it down the toilet to flush away the
ojo.
Yeah,
isn't it?
the ojo is like the evil eye.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of time here. We're going into
we're going into Mexican
we're going
spiritualism
deep.
here.
We're going deep. But I'm just curious if any of you guys have ever heard of this before, or ever had this ritual performed on you, or have ever performed this ritual on anyone else, or is it just something that is in my family that they just completely randomly
It's like,
made
well,
up?
I found an egg and it was really cold because it was in the fridge, and I just put it on myself and I was like, oh, that feels good.
It does.
Like putting a on a hot summer's day when you put like a can of soda or something that's really cold, and you go, oh, that's the best feeling
because
ever.
it's something about
Someone
the
did
roundness of the egg, and then it's cool and it's touching your skin, and then the person's like going, "It's my father." They're like saying the Lord's Prayer, like kind of whispering. It's just very like relaxing. It's very relaxing. So by the time you're finished, you're just like,
I did it on your
relaxed.
feetsies too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we gotta go.
Gotta go get done with an egg, people.
Hope you guys enjoyed this topic. I know we left out a bunch of stuff.
We left out a load of
stuff. Like, we have Cesar Chavez in our notes here. We didn't mention him. We didn't mention
civil rights leader,
Dia de los Muertos, or anything like that. But we only have so much time, and we're over it, so we gotta go.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful. It's been fabulous.
Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate your support, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.